When our habits change, our character changes. And when our character changes, our destiny changes. So that this morning, I encourage you to do more than just sing along, but allow the Holy Spirit to speak. Allow the voice of the Holy Spirit to truly penetrate into the deepest parts of your heart and the deepest parts of your soul. See, this song that he's going to sing, I'm sure my wife got tired of it because the words of this song really resonated with me during the hard times of this year. Where he talks about, I've seen you move. Oh, there's times I needed God to move. My wife's probably annoyed because every time I'm home, I play that song 5,000, 6,000 times. Yes, I know. She's probably like, do you listen to anything else? But I play that song because it spoke to me. So I encourage this morning, I hope this song and this message speaks to me. I've seen you move. I've seen God move.
I've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way when there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again.
Amen. God is faithful throughout this whole journey. But not only is God faithful to me and my son Canaan, God was faithful to the Israelites as they entered into Canaan the promise. And you can find a portion of that story in Deuteronomy chapter number 1, starting in verse number 19. It says, Then, just as the Lord our God commanded, we left Mount Sinai and traveled through the great and terrifying wilderness, as you yourself remember, and headed towards the hill country of the Amorites. When we arrived at Kadesh Barnea, I said to you, You have now reached the hill country of the Amorites that the Lord our God is giving us. Look, He has placed the land in front of you. Go and occupy it as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, has promised you. Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. But you all came to me and said, First, let's send out scouts to explore the land for us. They will advise us on the best route to take and which towns we should enter. See, this seemed like a good idea to me, so I chose 12 scouts, one from each of your tribes. They headed for the hill country and came to the valley of Escol and explored it. They picked some of its fruit and brought it back to us. And they reported that the land our God is giving us is indeed a good land, the promised land. But you rebelled against the command of the Lord your God, and you refused to go in. You complained in your tents and said, The Lord must hate us. That's why He has brought us here from Egypt, to hand us over to the Amorites to be slaughtered. Where can we go? Our brothers have demoralized us with their report. They tell us the people of the land are taller and more powerful than we are, and that their towns are large with walls rising high into the sky. We even saw giants there, the descendants of Anak. But I said to you, don't be shocked or afraid of them. The Lord your God is going ahead of you. He will fight for you just as you saw Him do in Egypt. And you saw how the Lord your God cared for you all along the way as you traveled through the wilderness. Just as a father cares for his child, now He has brought you to this place. See, in the midst of their trials, God did it again for them. See, in our adoption journey is a testimony of God's faithfulness. It's a testimony of how God will you through that journey. Many of you have heard this story, but there are parts this morning that I'm talking about many people have not really heard, or not truly grasped the significance of those parts. See, God provided a miracle for us, and He can do it again for you. See, our adoption journey started many years ago. First starting with a denial to the foster care. And then after that, there was different denials to either foster or adopt children. See, after one denial, it's a little painful, but you heal and you move on. After multiple denials, you begin to, in your mind, think that this is the way it's going to be. Right. See, Angela is not able to have kids, so in our mind, we come to the conclusion that barring a miracle from God, that this is how life was going to be for us. See, our hearts were crushed because we desperately wanted kids. We desperately wanted to be able to raise kids of our own. Our hearts were crushed, but the whole time, God knew what He was doing. God knew what He was doing the entire time. You see, after that very first denial, we were in a turmoil situation in a church that we were in where it just wasn't healthy for us anymore. And just months after that denial, God called us up to leave that church. See, if we have already begun fostering, that means this child that is already living in a turmoil situation, that's already been uprooted from their family, would have been placed with us for a matter of a month or two and then been uprooted again from our family. See, even though it was painful for us, even though it was difficult for us, God saw the bigger picture. God saw the bigger picture, and He said, and I'm willing to let you suffer a little bit for the greater things. See, I'm sure the Israelites, they felt the same way. See, they had to wander in the desert for 40 years. And now they are at the edge of Canaan, the promised land. See, after years of thinking God would do it again for them. Couldn't imagine every day waking up year after year saying, God, I know you're faithful. I know you're going to do it again. For 40 years, they wandered in the desert. Only to be at the edge of Canaan, the promised land, to be met by another obstacle. The Amorites are in the way. See, just when everything started to look up, they are brought down. See, maybe this morning you're going to feel the same way. Maybe you have been fighting a battle for so long that you think that there is no hope. That you think that this is how life is going to be. That this battle is how eternity is going to be for me. This is what life is going to look like. So I'm here to tell you that if He can do it through my son Canaan, and He can do it through the Israelites, He can do it again for you. So He can do it again for you.
Walking around these walls, now I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won. For you have never failed me yet.
God is faithful in the midst of the trials, in the midst of the storms, in the midst of the pain. And this morning, if you are going through a situation and you say, I need God to desperately do it again, there are a few things that I want you to remember from our journey. The first one that you have to remember is that God is sovereign. God is sovereign. He is in control the entire time. See, we thought that our journey had ended. We thought that we would never have kids of our own. But God had other plans. See, out of the blue one day, we're pursuing this situation. We get a message from Angela's cousin, Nicole, just saying, I know this girl that is in a troubling situation. She's pregnant, and there's no way she's going to be able to support another child. Would you consider it up? So, of course, I'm shouting, so Angela runs in, and she starts talking at 1,000,000 miles per hour, saying 1,000 words at a time, and I'm just like, I just want to be clean. I don't know what you're saying to me. But she finally slowed down and read the message to me, and we just instantly said yes. We instantly said yes because we knew that God was in control. See, God was in control the entire time. Through every denial, through every no, through every heartache, God was in control. And He knew exactly what He was doing. Yes, sir. See, here's the amazing part. Over 15 years ago, before Javan and Angela had even met, before Javan even knew of that pretty girl that walked into his church one day, Angela's cousin moved from California to Texas for a discipleship program. And when she was finished with that discipleship program, she needed a place to live, and she moved in with Angela's family. See, and her cousin Nicole told us, if I had not lived with you and built that relationship with you during those times, I wouldn't have even thought of you when it came time to it. See, God knew what he was doing long before me and Angela ever married. Long before we ever even met each other. God knew that one day there was going to be a situation where a mother is going to have a child that needs to be adopted. And so he put the people in place to make that adoption happen long before we could see it. See, in the midst of your trials, in the midst of your storms, you have to realize that God is sovereign. God is sovereign. He's in control of every situation. See, that night when we got that message, we began to form a relationship with Canaan's birth. See, we learned that she was an 18-year-old who already had one child. She was not able to take care of another one. See, right there, many people think, oh, Canaan's life is just blessed. Oh, but it gets so much better. It gets so much better than just adoption. See, you got to understand, the enemy tried to do everything he could to make that boy not come into this world. Right. See, not only was the birth mom on birth control, which did not work. The day after she conceived, she took the morning after pill, which did not work. She also had an abortion schedule, which the day we said yes is the day she called her doctor and canceled it. Wow. See, God is in control. God is faithful in the midst of the trials, in the midst of the storms, in the midst of the pain. God is sovereign. God was sovereign. See, there's no logical reason that my boy back there should be alive right now. There's no logical reason. There's no doctor that can tell me why he's alive. There's no human person that can tell me why he's alive. But there's a God who can tell me why he's alive. And God's plan will always come to pass. God's plan will always come to pass.
And I know the night won't last. Your word will come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again.
See, not only do you have to realize that God is sovereign and he's in control even when the storms are around you, you have to realize that God truly does care for you. God truly does care for you. See, after saying yes to adopting Canaan, we were overjoyed. We were ecstatic about what God was doing. But the whole journey, it wasn't all roses. It wasn't all happiness. It wasn't always an easy journey. See, there were many ups and downs along the journey. See, one of the biggest came the day that we flew out. We flew out on a Saturday, and as soon as the plane landed, I turned my phone on, and I get a call from the hotel saying, we have overbooked, and we have no rooms, and we cannot honor the reservation. Yes, I'm thousands of miles away from my house, literally just landed on the plane. I'm still on the plane at that time. Get this call. Of course, we were scared, we were freaked out, we didn't know what we were going to do. We're in Sacramento, California, away from everything that we know. I don't even know where the road is, much less where another hotel room is. But through it all, God was still faithful to us. See, we ended up getting online on our phones, finding another hotel room, which that second hotel room actually ended up being more centrally located to everywhere that we needed to be. See, the first one we would have had to drive about 30 minutes every single time, but that other one we were about 5 to 10 minutes away from everywhere we needed to be. See, God truly cares for us. See, not only did that happen, but when we arrived in California on Saturday, we were supposed to meet Canaan on Sunday. So we scheduled a time with his birth mom for us to come to the hospital and see him. But 30 minutes before we were going there, we were literally about to grab the bag from the hotel room and drive to the hospital to meet our son for the very first time. We get a text from his birth mom that says, I'm really enjoying this time, something along these lines. I'm really enjoying this time with him, and I'm just remaking my decision. Can you not come? See, you can see that all that joy that we had instantly flowed. All we could do is cry. All we could do was Christ. See, we had already adopted Canaan in our hearts. To us, he was our baby. He was our baby. See, the great thing is that God saw our pain and he provided the comfort before we even knew we needed comfort. So let me explain that to you. See, I know many of you in this room, most of you in this room are super spiritual and you go to church every single chance the door is open. But to be honest, my family's not. When we're on vacation, we don't go to church at all. We get a lot of church. Yes, this is. We get a lot of church, and on times of vacation, sometimes we just want to get away from it. We just want to get away. So to be honest, we do not go. So is it a rare circumstance that we would go to church while we were on vacation? See, but that morning, because of the different time zone on Sunday morning, we woke up super early compared to California time. So we were wide awake. So we just decided, you know what? We're awake. We got nothing to do. Let's go to church. And so we knew of a great church in the Sacramento area. And so we got ready. We went to the 8 o'clock service. Now you have to be holy to go to the 8 o'clock service. Just so you know. You have to be. But we were there. We were at the 8 o'clock service. And the pastor's message that morning, never met this guy at all in my life until I talked to him in the lobby. The pastor's message that morning was on seasons of delay. See, now I won't preach his entire message to you, but I do want to read his points. Seasons of delay challenge some of our deepest held beliefs. Seasons of delay can be confusing. Seasons of delay require a new perspective. In seasons of delay, don't put a period where God put a comma. See, we got that message from the birth mom after the church service. We got the message that we were going to be in a season of delay after God already put people in our path to tell us and give us comfort. Right. See, there were times where I was laying in that hotel room that all I could say is like, God, you are faithful in the season of delay. You are faithful, and I am not going to put a period where you put a comma. See, there were times that literally what that pastor preached that morning were the only thing that sustained us. See, God knew, because God cared. God knew the delay was coming. God knew the pain that we were going to be in, and He placed people in our path to bring us the comfort, to speak life into us.
Promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me again. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet.
See, God had never failed us. Just because life circumstances failed us, just because life circumstances brought us down, God never. Speak life into us through some of the deepest and darkest times of our life. One of the most challenging times that we have ever been through as a couple, God put somebody in our path to speak life because He truly cared about us. See, the words and the stories that pastor related, we repeated over and over and over in our head to remind us God is faithful. God is faithful. If He did it for the people of Israel, He can do it again for us. If He performed miracles and He can heal the blind, He can perform miracles in our situation. And we decided that day that we would not put a period where God has put a comma. See, we knew the promises God gave us. And we knew that, you know what, maybe Canaan wasn't coming home with us, but we knew God was faithful and that one day there would be a baby that comes home with us. See, and the third thing that you have to realize is that prayer truly works. Prayer truly works. I know sometimes it's easy to just over-spiritualize the fact where we say, oh, just pray about it. Just pray about it. But the truth is, prayer truly works. See, we knew God's promises for us, so we recruited everybody that we could think of to begin to pray. See, many of you in this room pleaded to God on our behalf. Many of you got down on your knees and you just begged God to do a miracle in our situation. So we know because of Ephesians 6:12 that we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in the dark world, and against evil spirits in heavenly places. See, the enemy was trying to do everything that he could to stop this adoption from happening. The enemy was trying to break us, to crush us, to make us think that God was not faithful through it all. But when people started praying, things began to change. See, me and Angela, we had a peace about us that we shouldn't have had. I'm not exaggerating when I said these were some of the hardest times we've had as a couple. There's a reason that we asked Pastor to send a message like, don't contact us. Because we were literally so crushed, we did not want to speak to anybody. It was in those times that we had a peace, though. We said, you know what, God's in control. God's in solid. God will take care of the situation. See, we had this feeling, and people around us, some of you in this room, had the same feeling that we did. God wasn't finished yet. Yeah. We didn't know what it meant, but we just had this peace that God wasn't finished yet. See, we knew that God was powerful. And we knew that He was the only one who could turn this situation around. We knew that He could perform miracles, and He rescued the people out of Egypt. We knew that He could do it again for us. Seeing as everyone was praying, the Earth Mom's heart begins to change. Earth Mom's heart begins to change. And so Canaan was released from the hospital on a Monday night. Went home to his birthday. At that time, we still had not seen our son. Was it Tuesday when he was home?
We saw him Monday, babe.
Never mind. Hold on. Let me reverse a little bit. Monday. So as people began to change, God began to work on our heart. On Monday, she sent a text before she was released from us that we could come up to the hospital and see her. See, before that, she didn't want us there. She didn't want us at the hospital. It wasn't our choice that we weren't there. She didn't want us at the hospital. She specifically told us not to. But on Monday, she sent a text and said, come on. And we didn't know what that meant. We didn't have a clue what that meant. But we said, okay, that's our son. We're going to go see him. And it turns out, it didn't turn out in a great situation at that point, like we thought. She still was deciding that she was going to try to parent this child. So Monday, she was released from the hospital. And we still had a feeling that God wasn't done. And so we continued to ask our friends and our closest family to pray and believe that God would do it again for our situation. And we begged and we pleaded God. We got down on our knees and we truly said, God, let your will be done. Even if it means that we suffer. Let your will be done. And on Thursday morning, we get a text message from the birth mom. It says something along the lines that this is a little more difficult than I thought it was going to be. And I decided that I'm going to place the child up for adoption. I'm signing the paperwork for the adoption worker tonight at 7, and then I want you to come pick him up after that. See, we go from not even being allowed to see our son to here. We're going to take your son. And on Thursday night, we went and picked our son up, and he spent the next few weeks with us in a hotel. Because prayer truly, and say, God, why don't you just move? Because there was no words that me and Angela could have said to this 18-year-old girl to convince her that this was the better decision for her. See, there's no words that we could have said to change her mind, but there are words that God could say to change her mind. This prayer truly works. Is your promise still stands, God?
The promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail I've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way when there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again.
See, God made a way where there was no way for us. God did what only He could do. He moved the mountains in our circumstances. He moved and He changed the hearts of the people. See, to the children of Israel, the promised land represented their future. See, God gave them an opportunity to go in and to make it their own. See, as you look into your future, what do you see? Do you see giants? Or do you see the promises of God? See, do you see the circumstances around you of why God came? Do you see the storm around you of why God can't move in this situation? Or do you see a God who can move the mountains? See, it takes risk. It takes risk. It takes dedication to step back and say, God, have your way. When the adversity comes, when the storms come, God, let the peace surpass all understanding. Sometimes it's risky to step out there because we didn't know what God was going to do in Kansas. We didn't know when our hotel room ended on Saturday if we'd be hopping on the plane coming back to China. We didn't know what the future held for us. But we knew we served a God who was faithful. We knew a God that was bigger than any circumstances or any mountain or any giant that we were in. See, we have to take the risk. See, we can believe as Joshua and Caleb did. See, you have to understand that they never disagreed with the assessment that there were giants in the land. They never disagreed that there were giants in the land. They just had a different belief than the other spies. See, you understand this too. All 12 spies who Moses sent were good people. Moses would have not sent out people he didn't think could handle the assignment. See, we can look at life and say, yep, I see those giants. It's the enemy. Or we can be like Caleb and Joshua and say, yeah, I see those giants, but I see the promises that God gave. I can look past the giants in my life because I see the promises that God gave. See, I know God has called me to enter into this promise. See, with every head bowed and every eye closed. See, this morning we see giants in our communities. We see them in our schools, at our work. They're all over. Sometimes we become so overwhelmed by the giants that we are like the 10 other spies. And we think there's no way that we can take them. So I'm here to tell you that my life, my son's life, is living proof that God can do it again. God can do it again for you. See, God did it for me. And it doesn't matter the storms that you're in. It doesn't matter the circumstances you're in. It doesn't matter the trials that you're in. God can do it for you too. God can take your hardest times, your most challenging time, and He can speak life into you before you even know that you need life spoken. See, God is power. God is sovereign. God is in control. See, in a moment, the band's going to be singing a song that says, peace, be still. Later on in the song, it says, Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Think about what kind of power that is, that the darkness trembles at the name of Jesus. So that means the circumstances that you're in, they don't stand a chance to the power of my God. The enemy may try to tell you that it's over. The enemy may try to tell you that it's done. But it's not over. See, it's not over. Don't put a period where God has put a comma in your life. Allow the peace of God to work in your